Number 21. Clayton will mix X milliliters of a 10% by mass saline solution with Y milliliters of a 20% by mass saline solution in order to create an 18% by mass saline solution. The equation above represents this situation. If Clayton uses 100 milliliters of the 20% by mass saline solution, how many milliliters of the 10% by mass saline solution must he use? Well, let's look at the variables here. The X milliliters is the number of milliliters of the 10% solution, and the Y is the number of milliliters of the 20% solution. So if Clayton uses 100 milliliters of the 20% by mass saline solution, how many milliliters of the 10% by mass saline solution must he use? Let's just substitute 100 in for Y. So we substitute 100 there and there, and we're going to solve for X. And go here. 0.10x plus 20 equals 0.18x plus 18. Subtract 18 from both sides. And then we solve by subtracting the 0.10x from both sides. And we get and x equals 2 divided by 0.08, and you should get 25. Well, there's a lot of calculations going on there. It was basically came down to a simple algebra type of question, but a lot of students could miss this with the long story and not plugging in for the correct variable. Give this one a level 6. Level of difficulty from 1 to 10 based on students' ability to get the question right without guessing. Let's go to number 22. Number 22, the first year, Eleanor organized a fundraising event. She invited 30 people. For each of the next 5 years, she invited double the number of people she had invited the previous year. If f of n is the number of people invited to the fundraiser n years after Eleanor began organizing the event, which of the following statements best describes the function f? So let's look at this as a function f of n on the graph to the right here, where the x-axis will be the number of years, n years after Eleanor began organizing the event. It says for each of the next 5 years, she invited double the number. The first year was 30. So let's say these are like tens. So the first year was 30. Right? Second year was double. So the second year was 60. The third year is double. So the third year is 120. Now this is not a linear equation, because a linear equation would have the same slope, meaning that every time I increased 1 in the x value, I would increase the same amount for the y value. So the graph would look something like this. And would increase exponentially. Answer choice D. The function f is an increasing exponential function. Level of difficulty from 1 to 10 based on students' ability to get the question correct without guessing. 1 being the easiest and 10 being the most difficult. I'll give this one a level 5.5. Students, if you don't believe or don't agree, with the level of difficulty I put in any question, put that in the comment section. I'm just giving you an estimated guess of how difficult I think it may be. It's not a scientific thing. It's just an educated guess. And another thing, students, it's really good to study. Just follow along with this. Do the question by yourself. Pause it. And then see if you got the question correct. And then you can see hear the explanation. Now let's go to number 23. Some values of x and their corresponding values of y are shown in the table above, where a is a constant. If there is a linear relationship between x and y, which of the following equations represents the relationship? Well, this is a table where you could just plug in the values to see which of the equations work, where you have x on top and y on the bottom here. So let's plug in the easiest one first, and that will be this point here, this A0. If you plug in A and 0 into each of the answer choices, let's look at answer choice A here. If you plug in A for x, you would have A, right? Plus 2 times, this is the y value, 2 times the y value, 2 times 0, which is just 0, and that equals A plus 0, which is just A, and that works. So let's see, let's check and see if the next one works for A, since the first one worked for A. We have 3a and negative a. So if x were 3a, we'd have 3a, right? 3a plus 2 times the y value of negative a. So we're just checking answer choice A here, see if it works. We get 3a minus 2a, and we know that equals A. So that also works for answer choice A. And checking the last one, we would plug in, we would get 5a minus 2a, 2 times, right, it'd be plus 2 times negative 2a. That equals 5a minus 4a, which equals A. So I just plugged in all three of these for A. So A is the answer choice. Now, this would take a little while to plug in each one, but the technique that I would use is to plug in, just happened to work for the first answer choice that I chose. But if you put in A0 into each of these to see what worked, that would be the way to do it, just to cancel off or get rid of the ones that don't work. So let's do that. So for answer choice B, if we put in A for X and 0 for Y, we would be A plus 2 times 0, which again equals A, and that would not work for answer choice B. If we plugged it into answer choice C, A0, right? Plugged in A there for X, we'd have 2A minus 0 again, which we know is 2A, and that wouldn't work. And if we plugged in this for the last answer choice, just this first A0 point, that again wouldn't work, because we'd have 2 times A minus 0, again with the 2A, and that does not equal 7A. So just plug those in. You could find the equation of the line here. That would take a lot longer. Plug it in, and you'll get your answer. Level of difficulty for this question from 1 to 10 based on students' ability to get the question correct without guessing, in my opinion. Again, you could say, hey, Prep Master, that's a crazy rating, and put it in the comments. Let me know. I'm going to give this one a level of difficulty. I'm going to say it's a level 7. Not too easy. Let's go to number 24. Number 24. The scatter plot above shows the number of registered voters, X, and the number of people who voted in the last election, Y, for 7 districts in a town. A line of best fit for the data is also shown. Which of the following could be the equation of the line of best fit? Well, line of best fit shown, we just look for the slope. So the slope of the line, since we look at all the answer choices, always look at your answer choices, students. It helps you get the answer quickly here. They're all just in slope-intercept form, but there is no y-intercept, so that doesn't matter. We just look at the slopes, and that's the rise over the run. So remember, the slope is the rise divided by, or over, same thing, the run. So how much do we rise, or how much do we go up? So from 60 to 70, using this line of best fit, we're going up. Looks like from this point, let's say, to this point, we're going up 10 each time. And we're going to the right 20, because it increases by 20. So we go up 10 to the right 20, up 10 to the right 20, up 10 to the right 20. And that's the same as 10 over 20 reduces to 1/2 if we reduce the fraction, which in a decimal is 0.5. So the answer is y equals 0.5x. Answer choice B. It's a pretty easy question. I think most of you students will get this one correct. Hopefully you will. I'll give that a level of difficulty. I would say from 1 to 10, that's about a level 3. Let's go to number 25. The system of equations above is graphed in the xy plane. What is the x-coordinate of the intersection point of the system? Well, this one looks like it's set up for elimination. We could use elimination. We're trying to find out where the two lines here, these are equations of lines, and where they intersect. So we could graph these, but that's pretty difficult. Or we could use substitution, but we are going to use elimination. Most students do not like decimals, so let's just multiply each of these equations by 10 to start things off. And we would have 24x minus 15y equals 3 for the first equation. The second equation would be 16x. We're just moving the decimal place over 1 to the right for each of these, multiplying it by 10 just to make this a little more simple. 5y equals negative 113. Excuse me. Okay. Now, in elimination, we are allowed to multiply any row or both row by any number, but the key is we want these to cancel. So looking at these, since we are solving for x, we want the y's to cancel, and that's pretty simple. If we multiply the bottom row by 3, because I noticed 3 times 5 is 15, and if I add that to negative 15, that would cancel. But make sure, students, you multiply all 3 of these by 3. So I'm going to rewrite this in the upper right, starting with the top row. I'm just copying the top row here. 24x minus 15y equals 3. And now I'm going to multiply each one of these by 3. 3 times 16 is 48x plus 15y. And make sure you do the third one, equals negative 39. Now I'm going to simply add these together. The y's will cancel. This becomes 72x. That's 24 plus 48. And then we have 3 minus 39, which would be negative 36. Solving for x, we divide by 72. Divide by 72. X equals negative 36 over 72. And that reduces to negative 1/2. And as a decimal, that's negative 0.5. Answer choice A. Not too difficult of a question. Pretty standard on the SAT. Make sure you know how to do systems of equations. That's one of the major topics here. They try to throw a little curveball at you with the decimals. Just multiply those by 10 or 100, whatever it takes to get that, to make it less difficult. I'm going to give that one a level 5. Pretty average question. Level 5 difficulty from 1 to 10 based on students' ability to get the question correct without guessing. 1 being the easiest and 10 being the most difficult. Let's go to number 26. Number 26. Keith modeled the growth over several hundred years of a tree population by estimating the number of the tree's pollen grains per square centimeter that were deposited each year within layers of a lake sediment. He estimated there were 310 pollen grains per square centimeter the first year the grains were deposited, with a 1% annual increase in the number of grains per square centimeter thereafter. Which of the following functions models P of T the number of pollen grains per square centimeter T years after the first year the grains were deposited? Well, this is like an exponential function, and the equation that we're looking for is P of T would equal the initial amount, the initial starting amount, and then it would be 1 either plus or minus. Since we are increasing, it's an increase here, 1% increase every year, it's going to be plus, and that's going to be the percentage. Well, I plugged it right into the equation there without giving you the formula. Well, let's go back and give you the formula. It's 1 plus R, which is the interest rate, or the rate of increase, depending on what we're talking about. So it'll be 1 plus R to the T power. That's the number of years. So T years after the first year. So now let's plug in our numbers that we need. So P of T equals our initial amount, which is the 310, times 1 plus the interest rate, which was the increase, annual increase of 0.01, 1%, and that is for T years, and that would be P of T equals 310 times 1.01 to the T power. That would be answer choice D. Make sure you know this concept, students. It's like the simple interest formula. That's why I kept referring to interest, but it's any increase over time. And I would give that one a level of difficulty from 1 to 10 based on students' ability to get the question correct without guessing. I'll give that one a level 6.5. Let's go to number 27. Number 27. Based on the equation above, what is the value of 3x minus 2? Well, now notice, my first thing I notice here, 3x minus 2, I see this 9x minus 6 here. Now, one way to solve this equation would be to make the 9x minus 6, that's like 3 of these, isn't it? If you multiply that by 3, it's 3 of these. So let's call these like, I don't know, let's make it like this is equals a star, just to make it easy, right? That sounds weird, right? So we have 2/3 times 3, this is 3 stars, right? Minus 4 equals 3 stars. Now if we multiply this out, these cancel. We get 2 stars minus 4 equals 3 stars. Subtract the 2 stars from both sides. Kind of a crazy way to do it, but this is the fastest way, I would say, to show this. And your star, your variable, the new made-up variable that I made up here, is -4. Answer choice A. Now, you don't have to do it that way. I could do it the regular algebraic way like many of you will do, but that's just a quick shortcut, noticing that 3x minus 2 was 1/3 of this. This is 3 times it. So now we could just do it algebraically. I'll do that for you, which will also work. So now we will distribute here the 2/3 of the 9x minus 6. So 2/3 times 9, if we were to multiply that, right, 2/3 times 9, 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. That would be 6x. Then we multiply the 2/3 times the -6. 3 goes into -6. We'll put that over 1 because we're just basically multiplying 2/3 times -6 over 1. 3 goes into -6. -2 times -2 times 2 is -4. Then we have -4. That equals 9x minus 6. Now we just subtract, or combine like terms here. 6x minus 8 equals 9x minus 6. Subtract 6x from both sides of the equation. That'll give me a positive value for x on the right side here. And then simply add 6 to both sides of the equation. We get -2 equals 3x. Divide by 3, divide by 3. X equals -2/3. But we are looking for the value of 3x minus 2. So we're going to plug this in for x. So it's 3 times -2/3 minus 2. Those cancel. We get -2 minus 2. -2 minus 2 equals -4. Answer choice A, either way. It took a little longer. Level of difficulty, I'm going to give that one level 6 from 1 to 10. 1 being the easiest, 10 being the most difficult. Let's go on to number 28. The function f is defined above. If k is a positive integer, which of the following could represent the graph of y equals f of x in the xy plane? All right, so we have several parabolas here. And let's look at answer choice C and D. And the first two go downward, the second two go upward. What do we know about this graph? There are only two things that we actually need to know about the graph to get the question correct here. We need to know if it goes upward or downward. And then we need to know where the actual intercepts would lie, the x-intercepts, and then we could find out what the answer would be. So with the equation, it's in a factored form here. Notice it's x plus 3 times x minus k. That means one of the zeros, or one of the x-intercepts, is the opposite of positive 3. It would be -3. So let's look at that. So which of the answer choices has a 0 or a x-intercept of -3? Well, the first one definitely has one there, right? The second one does not. It's on, looks like -2. So that's out. Let's look at answer choice C. That also has the same intercept of -2. That one's out. Answer choice D is also a possibility because it has the correct intercept. Now the other intercept we know, since this is x minus k, would be positive. Well, answer choice A and D both have a positive intercept, x-intercept of 2, so that doesn't rule out or exclude any answer choices. All right, so the thing is, does it go upward or downward? Now, if we multiply this out, if we were to FOIL this to get the actual equation in standard form, it would be x times x would be positive x squared, right? And this is what we determine right here, the value of this. If it were positive, which it is, it's positive x squared, the graph would go upward, like answer choice D, which would be the correct answer. If it were any negative number, it would go downward. So this one, level of difficulty, I'll give this one level of difficulty from 1 to 10. Let's go with a level 7. Let's go to number 29. Number 29. The formula above can be used to approximate the height h in inches of an adult male based on the length L in inches of his femur. What is the meaning of 1.88 in this context? Looking at the answer choices, answer choice A, the approximate femur length in inches for a man with a height of 32.01 inches. Well, that makes no sense. Basically, the 1.88 is the slope of the equation of the line here. This is an equation of a line, which means that it will increase, something's increasing 1.88 for every increase of 1 of something else. If that makes any sense. Let's look at answer choice B. The approximate increase in a man's femur length in inches for each increase of 32.01 inches in his height. That doesn't make sense since L is the length of the femur. We're increasing the length of the femur by 1 to increase the height by 1.88. So let's look at answer choice C. The approximate increase in a man's femur length in inches for each 1 inch increase in his height. That one's actually backwards, so it's probably answer choice D. The approximate increase in a man's height in inches for each 1 inch increase in his femur length. That's the correct answer. Let's explain a little further. So every 1 inch increase in L, in the equation L, looking at the equation of the line, this goes up 1, the height would go up 1 times 1.88, so the height would go up 1.88. And that is how they get the equation of the line. That was a fairly difficult question. I would say level of difficulty, I would say level 7.5 difficulty from 1 to 10. Let's go to number 30. Quadrilateral here, ABCD. Above AD is parallel to BC. So AD, let's draw the little arrow here to show that they're parallel to BC. So we have it's not only a quadrilateral, they're saying that's a trapezoid. Since those are parallel, that would be defined as a trapezoid. CD is half the length of AB. What is the measure of angle B? If we draw a line from B straight down here, we have a square. And we know if we have a square that the side lengths are all congruent or equal. Since CD equals half of AB, we know that CD is the same as this line, the same length as this line we drew. So this line, which forms a right triangle here, they're saying is going to be half the length of this line, which would be the hypotenuse. Since we have a hypotenuse here of AB that is twice the length of this line. All right, that resembles a special right triangle, the 30, 60, 90 triangle, where in a 30, 60, 90 triangle, right? Remember the side lengths, this is the 2x side, and this could be the x side, and this would be the x root 3 side. And if you remember, the one opposite the x side, this is always the 30 degrees. The one opposite this side is the what I call the weirdo in the middle. That's the 60 degrees. That's this one, right? And this is the 90. So in this question, they're asking for the measure of angle B, which is 90 here. It's this whole angle plus this angle. So we know this angle right here has to be that's the 60 degree angle in the special right triangle, because this is the 30 degree angle, right? So 90 plus 60, this whole angle is 150. 90 plus 60 is 150 degrees. Answer choice A. Know your special right triangle, students. Critical on the SAT. Level of difficulty for this question, I will give this one a level 8. Well, that'll do it. Thanks, students, for watching. ACT, SAT, Math Prep Master. I'm out. And remember, when you take your SAT, make sure you crush it.